All right, we are live. There we go. All set. Hello, hello, hello. And happy Father's Day. Mhm. See how to move this over. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Thank you guys for joining me. Hi. And I can see everything this. Let me see. This is Roosh. Griselda. Hello. If I don't say your name right, it's because I had a hard time figuring it out, but please don't take it personally. Hi, K Love. Thank you all for coming. I hope you guys are having a good Father's Day. And I'm glad you could spare some time to come talk with me. So, we're going to be talking about Being Me, Loving You by Marshall Rosenberg. And this week is actually pretty simple because all we're doing is making sure that we know how to speak in VC. So last week they gave us 4 questions. So this week we're supposed to make sure that we got it down pat how to work on the questions. Hi, Helen. Thank you. Welcome. So if any of you have the book in front of you, that's great. And if you don't have the book in front of you, you can just listen and I'll do my best to explain. And you'll be able to participate too, because these are really simple to do. So let us get started. It's 12:03. I think some more people will be coming, but let's get started, guys. First of all, let's talk about one of the areas of this that I think is really important. Before doing NVC, nonviolent communication with your partner, I think it's really important to get into your heart center. Aquarius, especially, but all air signs have a tendency to live so much in our heads. So, before even trying to begin a nonviolent communication, a nonviolent conversation with somebody, the first thing I recommend is both of you holding hands, looking at each other, breathing deeply, and getting into your heart center and being open to feeling each other, connecting with each other from your heart. Hey, everybody, welcome. Hi, Crystal. And be open to connecting from your heart with this person. So I recommend the first thing that you do is take your beloved's hands, palm to palm, put your palm chakras together and look at each other and breathe and quietly dedicate yourself to the process, to communicating with them nonviolently. Hey, Papa. So I want you guys to think about that first and foremost before you even start the conversation. Because, like I said, Aquarius, we live in our heads. So the first thing most of us will go to an intellectual space. So instead of going to an intellectual space, go to a heart space. Because remember, nonviolent communication is about connecting with each other from your heart. So that's the very first thing I recommend. I didn't talk about that before. I forgot that part. But as I've been doing this technique with people in my lifetime, I've come to find it's good to get yourself in the space. Like, okay, We're getting ready to do this technique. Let's, get chairs and face each other, hold each other's hands, get into a heart space and get ready. Because you're doing something that is probably different than how you've connected before. So I think it's good to get focused on that space. Hey, Kelly, welcome in. All right. So that was the first important part that I wanted to mention to you guys is talking to the person from your heart space. Now, at this point in the book, we're on page 11. We are at the thick of it. This is the most important part because in nonviolent communication, we learn to speak it, which is what we're going to do right now. What those questions were about last week is speaking it. Then next time, we're going to learn how to listen from a space of nonviolent communication. After that, the book is pretty much done. It's just them helping you practice living nonviolent communication. So this is the important parts that we have to get down pat. We have to get down pat how to speak to the other person, how to tell them what our grievance is without them feeling a demand, without them feeling criticized, without them feeling small, without them feeling judged, without them feeling stabbed or wounded. Hi, Danielle. Welcome. Hey, Oscar. Welcome. So, the first part is we have to get these questions down. So, how do we ask these 4 questions without the other person feeling wounded? So let's work on our questions. Last time we came together, I did my questions. I was talking about my ex who was always drinking. So does anybody want does anybody want to answer the questions? Because if one of you is brave, I'll ask you the questions and we'll see if you've asked them in a way that is nonviolent or if you're using coercion or something along those lines according to the model. Hello, Roosh. If I'm upset, I only want to hit you. Now hold your hand. I get very violent. My boyfriend is Aquarius also, and he is also saying breathe and without putting hands on people. Okay, so you're right about that. You probably will not do this in the moment that you're angry. If you just did something to me, I'm not going to want to sit there and breathe with you and hold your hand. That's not going to happen. So you have to allow yourself to let go of the anger. This is coming from a whole different space. So if they've done something and you're angry, you have to allow yourself to release the anger. You shouldn't hold anger in. So you have to allow yourself to release that before you're going to be ready to do something like this. This is more of a therapeutic exercise for when you want to start working on your relationship. In the moment of anger, that's not the moment to try to hold somebody's hands. I'm not going to be able to do that either. I'm not even going to pretend like that's a good idea. I would probably walk away. I would tell them I needed some space, I needed some air. I would go outside. I would go sit. I would go sit somewhere. I would go to the gym. I'll go punch a bag a few times. I would go let the energy out. And then when I was ready to talk, when I was ready to communicate, that's when it's time for holding hands and breathing. Okay, maybe say a prayer, call upon God, call upon Christ, call upon the angels before you get started. That the two of you will open your hearts enough to speak to each other from that place. Okay. So you're absolutely right. You're not going to want to hold hands and sing kumbaya if they just did something you want to knock their heads off. You have to come past that energy before you're going to be ready. That's 100% true. All right. So let's look at the questions. Okay. So the first question is, you are sitting with your beloved, you're holding their hand, and they say to you, okay, would you tell me what did I do? What exactly did I do to upset you? What did I do to make life less than wonderful for you? Why are you angry? What did I do? So we learned last week that we're supposed to give an observation, not a judgment, not a criticism, not a smart comment, which some of us will do. Just exactly what was the observation. So this week, Marshall gave us the example of the partner who is not listening. So the participants said, when they asked this question, they said exactly, you appear to not listen. And Marshall stopped her there and said that this comment right away has a problem. When she said, you appear to not listen. What do we think is the problem with that? Why did Marshall stop her? Did anybody see that part, or can anybody tell me what they think? Why do you think Marshall stopped her? I'm looking at the book to see for the answer. All right. So I'll tell you what he said. Let me see. Trying to use. Okay, Helen. We'll talk about that. So what he said is that the reason that he stopped her is because you appear to not listen is a criticism. You appear to not listen is diagnosing. Yes, Danielle, exactly. Criticize, exactly. Yes, Papa. Criticize immediately out the gate. The conversation just started and you're already criticizing. So the other person is going to clam up. So Marshall said, no, instead of criticizing, tell me what was the behavior? What exactly was the behavior? And so she thought about it again. And this time she said, I observe you watching television. And what she means is, I observe you watching television while I'm speaking. So there's not a criticism here. It's just an observation. I was talking to you and you were watching TV. So that's what the whole argument is about, period. Number two. So now he says, okay, that's good. How do you feel when I watch television while you're talking? So now we want to get into the feelings. Remember, I told you guys in the back of the book on page 65, those are the feelings. 65, 66. Yeah, the top of 66. These are the feelings, because we don't want to say something like, I feel judged, or I feel, you want to say the feeling itself. I feel angry. I feel hurt. I feel discouraged. I feel hopeless. So he wants us to use the feelings words. So the participant says, how do you feel? And her feelings are, I feel frustrated and hurt. So that's a good answer, because she hit it right on the head. I feel frustrated and hurt. So focus on the action of others. Yeah, Danielle, he said you just give an observation, exactly what the behavior was that you observed. Instead of giving a criticism about it or a judgment about it, this is exactly what I observed. I observed you watching television while I was talking. And then the second part is, how did that make you feel? Use feelings words. And she said frustrated and hurt, which I think a lot of us would feel in this particular case. He's watching television, or she's watching television, and let's say the person is watching Scandal, and you're trying to tell them something that's important. How are you going to feel? Frustrated and hurt. Okay. Hey, Ritu. Hey, everybody that came in. Hey. Exactly. See how she said, I get accused of that all the time, but I am listening. I just don't agree with what you're saying, so I'm not going to listen. So you heard what they said, you're just not responding like you heard what they said. And that's why he said not to give it a criticism, just say the observation. Telling the person they're not listening is actually not true. They are listening. They're just not responding, or they're just not engaging with you. So just give them the observation. You were watching television while I was talking. Then that made her feel frustrated and hurt. She used perfect emotion words. He always says, use the emotion. What did it feel like is the question. Not what did it make you think? What did it make you remember? How did that make you feel? I felt frustrated. I felt hurt. I felt hopeless. What are the feelings you felt? So she did that one really good. Then he says, could you tell me why you felt this way? And she says, because I wanted to feel appreciated. She wanted her husband to hear her. She wanted to feel heard. And when he hears her, or she thinks he hears her, it makes her feel like he appreciates her. So in that moment, she wanted to feel appreciated. So for number 3, he said to word it as, I feel because not I feel because you. So what he says here is, I feel frustrated and hurt because I wanted to feel appreciated. So again, you're not focusing on them, you're not criticizing them, you're not judging them. You're saying what it made you feel like and what you needed in that moment. Hi, Trini. Welcome. So that is the third question. I feel frustrated and hurt because I wanted to feel appreciated. So as you can see from doing the first 3, a large part of this is what you say. It's your language. It's really the language that you're using and speaking from your heart. Now, the last question, the fourth question, is what would you like me to do to make life wonderful for you? So she said how she feels. Stop it, Oscar, because I don't. Let's not go there. Let's not go there, because I'm in the community, so I know about all of us and our communication problems. But the last one is, what can I do about it? Okay, so you said what you observed. You said how it made you feel. You said what you needed in that moment, and now you're going to say what you need him to do going forward, what I need you to do going forward. And what she asked for here is, I would appreciate it if you look into my eyes. I just talked about that with the holding hands part. I appreciate it if you look into my eyes and tell me what you heard me say, which is a pretty basic, that's not that hard. Listen to what she said, look in her eyes, repeat it. This is what I heard you say. So now she knows you heard her, and the two of you have emotionally connected. So I don't think it's that difficult. What do you guys think? Do you think those 4 are difficult? I don't think they're that hard. Once you get the language down pat, it feels like it's pretty simplistic. And he says here, the other person may or may not choose to hear judgment or criticism from what you're saying, because a defensive person is always going to hear criticism no matter what you say to them. But in this case, he has us continuing on page 13 and 14, reinforcing. They're constantly reinforcing that I'm not giving you criticism, I'm not giving you judgment. Because at one point, he even tells her on the next page that he doesn't understand. So she continues to talk about it until he does. And then they come to an understanding and the conversation is done. Next time he'll do whatever it was they said they would do, and they move on. So that's the beginning of nonviolent communication. Once you have those 4 questions down pat to ask your beloved, and they have them down pat to ask you, after that, you have the first half of it. The other part of it, like I said earlier, is about listening. And we'll get into that part later. Now, I'm going to give you the next part. Let's see here. So he talked about, Danielle says, when you're calm and talking, it doesn't sound hard to do. And I agree, defensiveness does make it that much harder. Exactly. Because if you're being defensive about the conversation, it just makes it more difficult for the other person to be able to talk to you. I think if you're being defensive, you're not ready for the conversation. What do you guys think? If you're being defensive in the conversation, I think it might just be a conversation you're not ready to have. Because whenever I'm defensive, it's because I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it at that moment. So, or I'm not ready. I haven't come to that place. Yeah, you're closed off. Wife got mad, says she, why I asked her to repeat what I said, makes her feel she's done. What does that mean? That means she's being defensive. See? Exactly. That's what we're talking about. She's not ready for the conversation. Empathy is always the problem, Queen. Yeah, empathy is really important. It's really important because otherwise, these kinds of conversations here, they can't work. They'll never work. And your communication with the other person is going to dry up. And once the communication dries up, the relationship is dead. So it behoove you to try to get past your own defensiveness in the conversation. But Ron Clark just mentioned one. He said when he asked her to repeat it, she feels dumb. That is classic defensiveness. Classic defensiveness, which probably means that on some level, she like questions her own intelligence. On some level, she's questioning in herself, not so much coming from the outside. So she's not ready to have the conversation. So you have to prepare, you have to kind of get ready, work up to the conversation. So I will work on the empathy with the couple. I would work on intimacy and closeness and holding hands and looking in each other's eyes and praying together. That's what I would do. I would work on that before I started to have the conversations at all. I would work up to the conversations. Helen says sometimes you have to stop and ask person to really listen and really hear you. Yes. Yes. Helen, you were saying something a second ago about your sister. Let me go up and read what it was you said. Trying to use MVC with my sister since I'm single. She has issues with anyone touching her, even me. So if she has issues with anyone touching her, then that means that that's something that she has to figure out why and what that's connected to. And in the meantime, I wouldn't touch her. I wouldn't touch her until she invited me to touch her. I would let her work on that because that's an invitation. Your anything in your personal space, that's all you. You govern all that. That whole aura area, that's all you. So I wouldn't touch her. I would just, allow her to deal with whatever that was, whatever the reasoning is. It's a number of reasons why people are like that. Yeah, their boundaries. I would let her have her boundary and I would let her invite me in when she's ready. Yeah, when she's ready, I'd be very careful. But she has to work through that before you can get anywhere with that. So I just would leave her into her boundary, leave her in her space. And when she invites me in, kind of like a vampire, you have to invite them in. I would just wait for her to invite me in. And until then, I would just stay outside of her boundary. All right, let's talk about the next thing that Marshall says because we're almost done. We only have like another, I think we have two more points to hit today. Oh, let me see. You're right, Oscar. He said this conversation is very Aquarius, and it definitely is. This is a very Aquarius conversation. If you guys like this conversation, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or anything that you want to say, you can put them in the comment section. I can see them right now in real time and answer them for you. All right. So the next thing Marshall tells us to discuss is this. The kindest thing we can do is to stop people when they are using more words than we want to hear. So Marshall asks us to answer this question. I'm going to ask all of you and I'm going to answer this question too. If you are using more words than somebody wants to hear, do you want the other person to pretend that they are listening to you or to stop you? I'm going to read it again. If you are using more words than somebody wants to hear, do you want the other person to pretend that they are listening or to stop you? Ron Clark wants them to pretend they are listening. I want them to stop me. Yeah, I want them to stop me. I want them to tell me that I do. I want them to stop me because I don't want to just stand there and then pretend like they're listening to me and they done went off into the stratosphere. I think we've all been there. Have you guys ever been on the phone? I don't like being interrupted either, Andrea. But have you ever been on the phone and you yak 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 yak, and you realize the other person isn't listening? I hate that. I cannot stand that. If I'm telling you something and I realize that they're talking to somebody in the background or they're doing something else, I'm like, did you hear me? That irritates me. Like, don't have me wasting my energy to talk and you're not listening. Yeah, please stop me. Danielle says, stop me because it's going to feel like they're going to raise their defenses. Yeah, just stop me. Just tell me, let's stop here. So, like, let's say, for example, you're in a nonviolent communication with your beloved and you've done the questions. Let's say you've done the 4 questions and your beloved has had enough. This is emotionally taxing. And sometimes these conversations can be. Sometimes you do have to stop these conversations and come back to it tomorrow. So I would want my beloved to say, this is a great conversation, sweetheart. I'm glad we're talking about this, but this is really heavy. And can we do another part? Can we do the second part of this tomorrow? I would rather my beloved say that to me than to sit there and act like they care and act like they're listening and they're not listening. Okay. So remember that when you're doing this, it can get heavy. My Scorpio friend is always talking too much. I gave up on talking. So, have you ever been in that kind of conversation where you're sitting there waiting to talk and the other person doesn't let you get a word in edgewise? So, we've all been on the other side of this as well. So, they're yak 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 and you realize you didn't say nothing during the whole conversation. That is a conversation that's not reciprocal. And some conversations are not reciprocal. But if it's your beloved, it should be. It definitely should be reciprocal. Um, Going in circles, yeah. So I've been there. So that's what Marshall says. Please be kind to the person. Marshall says this is kindness. It is kindness to tell them to stop and not to say, yo, you talk too much. Like, don't do that. Just be like, this is really heavy. Can we get to this point tomorrow? Say it in a very gentle way. Oscar said the other point is good luck stopping an Aquarius from debate and leave that for tomorrow. Yeah. But I think that it depends on who the Aquarius is. I think if somebody said to me, sweetheart, this conversation is really heavy. Can we finish this tomorrow? I would let it go till tomorrow. I would. I don't know about any other Aquarius in the room who would let it go till tomorrow because I would. If somebody said that to me, I would think that was just their truth, because it is heavy. It's a very heavy conversation. So I do want to be stopped, but I don't want to be stopped in a way that's rude. I want to be stopped in a kind way. And that's exactly what Marshall says here. Be kind and stop them. Ron says, no, I just cut cross them and tell them I'll call them back. Helen said, my late wife came from big family. They love to argue, not me. No, 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 no. No, no, no. My family, they can get into some arguments, man. My family is loud. They could definitely get into some arguments. But when it just seems to me like it's not productive because nobody's listening. That's why I like nonviolent communication because it's productive. Both people are present and both people are listening and both people are responding. When you argue, you're not both present. So it's pointless. When some people talk, they blabber on, and there is never room for the awkward to talk or get a word in edgewise. That's a relationship that's not reciprocal. That's exactly what I was talking about. So you're always receiving from the other person, but you're not really giving. So they're not really getting much from you. You're just taking in what they want to give, like a sounding board. Do you think Libra and Aquarius make a good couple? Sometimes. I did a video on that. If you go to the search engine and you punch in Ask an Aquarius Libra, the video will come up. Libra is supposed to be our most compatible sign. Forcing a conversation when the other person is not in a receptive space is a waste of time for both people. Exactly. That's exactly the point. They have to be willing to receive. You have to be willing to give. That's the reciprocal part. You have to be willing to give, and they have to be willing to receive. If one of y'all is not willing, then the conversation is pointless. Oh God, them Capricorns drive me crazy, Oscar. Yes, they do. That is a very true statement. I always have to fight them. All right, Andrea said, once I learn how much or how little I know a person pays attention, I limit my energy expended on that person. If I know this person doesn't listen, I hardly ever waste my time after that. They're lost. That's true. If somebody's not listening, I stop talking to them, and except for when it's absolutely necessary. Because for what? If they're not really listening, then what's the point? You know, Libra loves to betray the poor Aqua. Whoo, boy. I could tell you some stories about Libras and betrayal. It's funny to me because like I said earlier, they're supposed to be our most compatible sign. And I can see why, because I had two relationships with two different Libras that lasted almost a decade. And they weren't romantic relationships, but we were very close. And there was a lot of things about them I really loved. But just that one thing that I didn't like, that I could not put up with. They're my Libras, I'm not going to say all, but my Libras were not loyal. And I can't do that. I can't do that, back and forth. I'm with you, I'm not with you. I can't. I just can't. I can't do it. So even though I 90% of their personality I love, but that little 10% has stopped me from having several relationships with them. So I think it just depends on the Libra. If they, I'm sure some Libras are more loyal than others. Because I'm thinking, like, if they had maybe a Leo moon or some other sign like Taurus that's known for loyalty, maybe they would be more loyal. But I just didn't have one. I didn't come across one yet, but I'm sure they're out there. The truth is out there, people. All right, now here is the last one. The last one for today's book on page 18. Marshall says that our society is used to boring each other. He says that we basically, especially the middle class, sit around and bore each other. So he said that that's one of the other reasons how come, when we were talking about earlier about how people don't stop another person while they're going on with too many words. He said that, or using more words than we would like. He said that it's because our society is used to doing that to each other. Oh, I'm glad I did, Andrea. I was trying my best. Oscar, my best friend is a female Libra, and the most annoying thing she does is that she doesn't pick a side exactly in a damn debate. Like, girl, what is your opinion? Exactly, exactly. And they say because they can see both sides of the debate. So they're sitting there like they see truth in both sides, so they don't know which side to pick. They're very indecisive in that way. And that is real because my Libra friends, we used to go out to eat. They couldn't figure out what to order on the menu. It would be my birthday. They couldn't figure out what to get me. I'm like, you've known me all these years. You don't know what I want. Like just the simplest things they would have a hard time with. The Libra I like is in a relationship and she flirts with me. I don't get it. And she knows that I like her too. And she's a girl and I'm a girl and she's in a relationship with the boy. Well, she's taken, so she don't count. I don't do infidelities. When you with somebody, you have a pact with that person. So once you break up with them, then we can talk. All right, let me see. I missed one. Let me see this one. How should an Aquarius get over a breakup with a Scorpio? Oh, wow. Everything in our relationship was perfect. We met and talked on the phone for hours a day and had sex after 4 months. Now we don't talk at all. A relationship with a Scorpio. That's a rough relationship for an Aquarius. How do you get over it? You have to go through the same stages of grief like any other breakup. Any breakup is like that. I just gave the other day, I talked about breaking up. And I can't remember what the video was called. It was something about breaking up. I like stimulating conversations. Yeah, most conversations, Marshall says, have to do with the sports, TV, popular culture. Hey, Gabe, things like that. So, it's that kind of thing. Popular culture. So that's what he says. And I believe him. I mean, because a lot of conversations are like that. Yeah, you definitely should give up, Jack. I would just move on. And what's the other one? I have two Libra older sisters. Oh, you have two Libra. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is so crazy. I'm Aquarius, born February 1st. Can't seem to get the right one, period. I'm talking to a Sag now and she's confusing. She get liquor and she is the teething queen. Oh, the twerking queen. Ah, oh, that's not good, especially not when you out in the street. Mm-mm. Well, are you ready for the right person? Are you using the law of attraction to draw the right person towards you? Because it sounds like the kind of women that you've chosen may not be the kind of women that you would want to have a long time relationship with. So you're ready, yeah. So you're gonna have to use the law of attraction. Queen, you have to do a video reacting to a YouTube video called The 12 Zodiac Signs in a Horror Movie. I think that would be hilarious to see your reaction. I'm going to watch that. That sounds funny. That sounds very, very funny. All right. Okay, good. So yeah, use the law of attraction and you should be able to pull somebody to you. Now, or you should be able to attract somebody to you if you are ready, according to the law. So if I were you, I would watch The Secret by Rhonda Byrne and I will work that out. Queen, do you think Cancer man and Aquarius girl can work long term? It really depends on the rest of their chart. It's a very difficult vibration. So it always depends on where their moon is, where their rising sign is. You got to look at their chart because it's a difficult vibration. I can't, it's one of the harder vibrations, but we're often attracted to each other. A lot of Cancers and Aquarius are attracted. It's just that because we're so different, a lot of times it just doesn't work. The best relationship I ever had was with another Aquarius. I think we make the best match. That could be a good one. That could be definitely a good one. It just depends. It definitely depends. I've been in situations like that, and I did a video on that before. So, according to the zodiac, we could be with any air sign. That's going to be your first choice. Is any air sign. I'm a Capricorn woman that wants an Aquarius man to approach me, but we are in the beginning stages. I'm 33 and he's 45. How can I get him? I would say just casually flirt with him. And if he's interested, he'll approach. But just lightly, casually flirt very lightly. And he'll come forward if he's interested. If he doesn't come forward, he's not interested. I am so glad and thankful I made this live. I really enjoy your channel and talking and your advice. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for being here. I know, Gabe. I've heard that many times. I know you told me, Fresh 72, that she approached you, but obviously it's time for you to draw something else. You're drawing to you what you don't want. Whenever you draw to you what you don't want, that means something is wrong with your vibration. So you have to go back and look at the law of attraction to figure out what is going wrong. Why are you drawing what you don't want? You're drawing the opposite. So you have to go back and see. You said you're ready, so there's something else wrong. So I would watch The Secret and see what am I not doing. What is your opinion on an Aries sun with a Pisces moon matching up with an Aquarius? Aries sun, Pisces moon with an Aquarius. Aquarius sometimes can do well with Aries, and the Pisces moon. My only problem with this combination, they say Aries can go well with Aquarius, but my problem with the combination here is the Pisces moon is going to make this Aries very emotional. So they're going to have to balance that out. The Aquarius is not always the best with emotion. So the Aquarius in this scenario is going to have to get more emotionally intelligent. They're going to need it to deal with that. Thank you, Gabe. Aquarius. My brother and sister, both Taurus, born same day, 11 years apart. We always butt heads. Just started talking to another Taurus. God has helped me. Yeah, Tauruses, woo, they are so stubborn and for no reason. I can't do another Taurus. The one ex that I keep in touch with is a Taurus, and I love her to death. But I could never be in a relationship with another Taurus. It's just too much. They're stubborn for no reason. I'm already stubborn. I don't need to be with somebody else who's stubborn. On a quick break from work and excited to catch a live session with the Queen. Love your channel so very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Nia. Thank you so much for commenting and being here. Make sure that you like the video if you are enjoying the conversation. That helps us here on YouTube a whole lot. I think it's a difference between Aquarius born. It is a difference for 72. I did a video on that. A lot of things you guys asked me about, I have a video on because I have like 700 videos. So if you go to the search engine, you'll find a lot of these topics. Yeah, the Taurus daughter. My goodness. My Aquarius has left. I cannot stop thinking about him. I'm a Gemini. I'm trying my best to do this 6 to 12 months. Like you said, it's so hard. Oh, you broke up with an Aquarius. Yeah. Breakups are hard. You have to go through the stages of grief. The stages of grief take a long time. Just keep on putting one foot in front of the other. It's okay. You'll make it. Just got to keep on climbing. You got a lot of Taurus energy around you, Andrea. I bet that family dinners at your house are quite interesting. Uh-huh. My mom has a Taurus moon. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, that is very interesting. A bunch of stubborn people having a meal together. I can only imagine. Jack said Aries are evil. I don't think they're evil. I can understand why you said that though, because I have had some run-ins with some Aries, but I wouldn't call them all evil. I just think that they're overbearing. And that even comes up in the zodiac. They can be overbearing. But I've met some Aries who would give you the shirt off their back, but they're always trying to make you do what they want you to do. They don't give you your own agency. So that's where I get into fights with them, because every time I've been with an Aries, they tried to basically bully me. And I'm like, not today. So that's why we always get into it. But some of them were really kind, like really, really kind to people. Yeah, I have a Sag moon. Yeah. We are the Sag moon. I like it a lot because it makes us more productive. That fire makes us more productive. It also makes us more passionate. But I don't the thing I don't like about having the Sag moon is that it really gives us a difficult temper. Our temper is not the best. We have to really work on our temper. I know they say Aquarius like their freedom and are in and out. I give him space and stay busy, but I don't want him to think I'm not interested. Yeah. Yeah. I would just, like I said, I would flirt. I would give little flirting, and see if he bites. You put a worm in the water and see if the fish bites. I just don't understand why they say Aquarius aren't loyal. I think I go too hard when I'm meeting someone and I get used. It's not because of that. They say Aquarius aren't loyal because a lot of Aquarius will leave you. A lot of Aquarius will leave. They will just they'll be out. And a lot of sun signs will never leave you. Certain sun signs will never leave you. I don't care what you do to them. Somebody was talking to me about a Taurus, and Taurus sometimes have that tendency that they will not leave no matter what you do. Virgos can be like that too. But Aquarius are not like that. You do something to Aquarius that hurts us bad enough, you won't be wondering where we at. That's why they say that we're not loyal, because we'll leave. We'll leave at the drop of a dime. And sometimes people don't understand why we left, because it's like, well, that wasn't that bad. It was that bad to the Aquarius. I haven't tried the search engine, but do you ever do videos on science with children? I think I might have done one or two maybe videos where I talked about kids. I think I talked about Aquarius and their children or something like that. Yeah, but if you and when you get to the home screen of YouTube, you can type in there anything you want, and whatever you want will come up. We're loyal as heck when we deserve it. Absolutely cross the line. Goodbye. Exactly. Aquarius will be loyal to you. Aquarius will get married. Aquarius will definitely be loyal. But if you harm us or abuse us, we will leave. We're not like other signs that just keep letting you prick us. We got that hedgehog dilemma I told y'all about the other day. We got hedgehog dilemma. We will, you prick us enough times, we are out. And it's not going to be that many times with an Aquarius. And sometimes it's once. I've had people stab me once, and I'm like, whoa, that's enough. I see where this is going. That's more than enough. What about Aquarius, Sun, Gemini, Moon? Aquarius, Sun, and Gemini Moon is air and air. I would expect that to be a person who was a writer, a creator. That's a very imaginative vibration. It might be kind of difficult to stay grounded with all that air. It depends on what else is going on in the chart. Hopefully, there's some earth in there somewhere to bring this person down to earth. But it sounds like a very creative vibration. Yeah, Aquarius, the hoglets, the hedgehog dilemma. Yeah, we will leave. That is the bottom line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are done. We have done up to page 18. We pretty much understand how to ask the questions. And now it's time for us to move on and read a few more pages. So I'm going to read a little bit further up, and then I'll let you guys know where we're going to go to for our next live discussion. In the meantime, what you're supposed to do now is practice, practice, practice by yourself or with a friend or someone. You're supposed to practice asking the questions in a way that the other person does not hear criticism. So it's something you can get your friend, you can get your cousin, you can get, your love, whoever you want to practice with, and practice these 4 questions. If you have the book, you'll see them. Practice them, practice them, practice them. And once you have that down pat, you have the first part of nonviolent communication down pat. All it's going to take is for us to keep moving through the book. And next, we're going to get the second part of nonviolent communication. Taurus sister definitely doesn't understand when I need time alone to process and decompress. She always gets offended and thinks I'm mad at her. I know. Exactly. That's what I talked about, how stubborn they are. You're welcome, Miss Brown. Do you think it's convenient to think in advance what your son's sign is going to be for having kids? Thinking about they will probably come into life. I don't know. I mean, I never did. I never did, because if I would have been shocked. Actually, I had no idea my daughter would be a November Scorpio. That shocked the hell out of me. It really shocked me. But I don't know. I mean, if you want to play around with it, it's not a bad idea. It's just something that could be very difficult. It'd be interesting to see what results you get. You're welcome, Helen. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here. If you would like to become a patron on my Patreon page, all that information, including how you can contact me, will be underneath this video. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow, because as always, I have a lot more to say. All right, guys. See you later.